Life is a wilderness. It throws everything at you. For Jan Koum, the battle started early. He was born in a small village outside Kiev, Ukraine, back when it was part of the Soviet Union. His home had no hot water. His parents feared talking on the phone, always worried that the government was listening. This was his normal. Survival was the daily mission. He learned early that to make it, you have to be tough. You have to be resourceful. You have to keep moving forward, no matter what the terrain looks like. His childhood wasn't about dreams, it was about getting through the day. At 16, Jan and his mother embarked on their biggest expedition yet. They moved to Mountain View, California. It was a new world, a new wilderness with different dangers. They arrived with almost nothing, relying on government support to survive. Jan swept the floors of a local grocery store to help make ends meet. He was a janitor. He saw the world from the ground up, cleaning up other people's messes. This wasn't a setback, it was training. It taught him humility. It taught him the value of hard work. Every day was a fight for survival, a lesson in endurance that would shape the man he was to become. While his mother worked as a babysitter, Jan discovered a new tool for survival computers. He was fascinated by programming. He couldn't afford fancy schools or expensive tutors. So, he taught himself. He bought used books from a local store and devoured them, learning everything he could about computer networks. This was his campfire, his shelter in the storm. He would read a manual, try something, fail and try again. This relentless self-reliance is the key to conquering any challenge. He was building his own tools, sharpening his own skills, preparing for the bigger mountains he knew he would have to climb. This period of his life was tough, no doubt. He stood in line for food stamps at the same social services office that would later become a symbol of his incredible success. But he never let his circumstances define him. He was a survivor, adapting to his environment. He used his hunger, for food, for knowledge, for a better life, as fuel. He wasn't just cleaning floors, he was learning the landscape of a new country. He wasn't just reading old manuals, he was forging a weapon that would one day change how the entire world communicates. He was proving that your starting point doesn't determine your destination. Every survivor knows you need a good team. Jan's journey led him to Yahoo, where he landed a job as an infrastructure engineer. This was a significant step up from sweeping floors. Here, he wasn't just surviving, he was thriving in a new kind of wilderness, the digital one. At Yahoo, he met Brian Acton. They were two guys who didn't like the corporate nonsense. They were straight shooters, focused on the work. They bonded over their shared no-nonsense attitude, building a friendship that would become the foundation for something massive. They were partners, watching each other's backs in the unpredictable world of Silicon Valley. After nearly a decade at Yahoo, Jan and Brian were ready for a new adventure. They left the company and took some time to travel, to explore the world beyond the server rooms and code. When they returned, they sought a new challenge. They both applied for jobs at Facebook, the rising giant of social media, and they were both rejected. For many, this would be a crushing blow, a dead end. But for a survivor, rejection is just a detour. It's a sign that you need to find a different path up the mountain. It forces you to reassess, to innovate, to rely on your own strength. That rejection turned out to be the spark Jan needed. He bought his first iPhone and saw the potential of the brand new App Store. But he also saw a problem. He remembered the fear his parents had of being spied on back in Ukraine. He noticed that all these new apps were hungry for user data and plastered with annoying ads. He wanted to build something different. He wanted to create a communication tool that was simple, reliable, and most importantly, private. His mission was born not from a desire for fame or fortune, but from a deep-seated belief that people deserved to talk freely without being watched. His motivation was pure and powerful. He wasn't trying to build a social network, he was trying to solve a fundamental human need for private connection. He named his app WhatsApp because it sounded like "What's up?" The idea was simple, an app that would show your status to your friends, letting them know if you were available or busy. It was built on a core principle: no ads, no games, no gimmicks, just pure, private communication. This was Jan's response to the wilderness of data-hungry tech companies. He was building a shelter for everyone, a safe place to talk. WhatsApp started small, just an idea on Jan's kitchen counter. The early days were a struggle. The app crashed constantly. It failed to gain users. At one point, Jan was so discouraged he was ready to give up and look for another job. This is the moment in the wild where you're cold, you're hungry, and you want to quit. But his partner, Brian Acton, gave him the encouragement he needed. "You'd be an idiot to quit now," Brian told him. "Give it a few more months." That support was the lifeline Jan needed. True survivors know when to push through the pain and when to lean on their team. And then, everything changed. Apple introduced push notifications and Jan updated WhatsApp. Suddenly the app wasn't just a status viewer, it was a messaging service. People could ping their friends with a simple message and it would pop up on their screen instantly. It was faster and cheaper than a text message. Users started pouring in. The growth was explosive, driven purely by word of mouth. People loved it because it was simple, it worked on any phone, and it respected their privacy. WhatsApp was like fresh, clean water in a desert of complicated, ad-filled apps. It was exactly what people needed. The app spread across the globe like wildfire. In Europe, Asia, and Latin America, it became the default way to communicate. People used it to talk to family across oceans, to coordinate community events, and to run small businesses. Jan and Brian fiercely protected their core mission. They refused to collect user data for advertising. They focused all their energy on making the service reliable and secure. They were obsessed with uptime and user experience, not with monetization strategies or growth hacks. Their commitment to the user was their compass, guiding every decision they made. Their small team operated out of a modest office, a stark contrast to the lavish campuses of other tech giants. They were lean, efficient, and completely focused. While other companies were spending millions on marketing, WhatsApp's growth was organic, fueled by a product that people genuinely loved and trusted. Jan had created something that solved a universal problem in a simple, elegant way. He had not only survived the wilderness of Silicon Valley but had also managed to cultivate a thriving ecosystem in it, all by staying true to his simple, powerful vision of private communication for everyone. The world took notice of this unstoppable force. Facebook, the very company that had rejected Jan and Brian, came knocking. This time, they weren't offering a job. They were offering to buy the entire company. In 2014, Facebook acquired WhatsApp for an astonishing $19 billion. It was one of the largest tech acquisitions in history. The moment symbolized the ultimate triumph of the underdog. For Jan, the survivor, it was a moment of profound significance. He chose to sign the final papers on the door of the same North County Social Services building where he once stood in line for food stamps. It was a powerful statement. This act wasn't about showing off, it was a tribute to his journey. It was a message to anyone who has ever faced hardship. He was standing at the finish line right next to his starting point. It showed that he hadn't forgotten where he came from. He hadn't forgotten the struggle, the hunger, the humility. Even with billions in the bank, he remained grounded. After the sale, Jan became a philanthropist, quietly donating hundreds of millions of dollars to causes he believed in, often without any public recognition. He had conquered the wilderness, and now he was helping others find their way through it. Jan Koum's story is a survival manual for life. It teaches us that your background does not dictate your future. It doesn't matter if you start with nothing, cleaning floors or standing in food lines. With resilience, resourcefulness, and a relentless drive to learn, you can overcome any obstacle. He proved that the toughest environments forge the strongest individuals. His journey from a poor village in Ukraine to the pinnacle of Silicon Valley is a testament to the power of the human spirit to adapt, endure, and ultimately conquer. His legacy is twofold. First, it is a story of incredible personal success against all odds. But more importantly, it is a powerful statement about the value of privacy in our digital age. In a world where our data is constantly being mined and sold, Jan built a fortress to protect it. He reminded us that rejection is not the end, it is often the beginning of a new, better path. He turned a no from Facebook into a multi-billion-dollar yes on his own terms. His journey shows us that if you stay true to your mission and fight for what you believe in, you can not only survive the wilderness, you can reshape it.